guys, welcome to Tickzon, where we try to turn our hindsight into your foresight. Ugo here, and I hope you had a good day. Now, today, we had a previous subscriber or previous watcher suggest that they wanted a video about tips about going into grad roles and stuff like that, and that video will be coming soon. I'm here actually more so the graduate stuff is something that we're going to deal with in a week or so. But today what I actually wanted to speak to you about was for you, those who are in their final year, coming to the end of final year of university, the things you need to be thinking about. And I know some of you already been thinking about it, but just for you to, if you have not been thinking about it, to start thinking about it. Now it's funny enough, I had this for a couple of weeks back, but I've been busy because actually I wanted to do this before the final student loan dropped, because part of what I'm going to say is a little bit financial to help you guys think about how you use that money wisely. But let's go off the rip anyway. So you're coming to the end of your uni, and so one of the first things you need to be thinking about is the dreaded question that none of us like to understand or like to hear or want to even think about is people say, what are you going to do with your life? Oh my days, what are you doing in your life? Now, don't worry about what you want to do in your life. That's too big of a question that is stressing everybody out. And there's people who are 40, 50, 60 right now. There's people retiring who still don't know what they're trying to do with their life. They just had jobs and had a couple of careers. It is what it is. What you want to be thinking about is, what are you going to do next? Now, the truth of the matter is, you may be figuring out life or whatever. It's not bad. You can take a year out. You can take 2 years out. But you still have to be doing something, because now you're coming out of university. You've gone through a transitional period that you are low-key independent, and when you're coming back home, you want to keep that independence, and that comes by you taking steps to help yourself by either getting a job or taking on endeavors, but also doing something. Regardless of whether it's bringing in money or not bringing in money, you need to be productive. Nobody, I'm African. When you come back home and you're not doing nothing, see your mates are over there, they're working. Yes, they may be in McDonald's. They may be in McDonald's. But you're here eating the McDonald's. And so what, you're on the couch? Mommy, don't be talking to me like that. You're just here eating McDonald's. But yeah, you need to be thinking about what you want to do next. Now, I understand, listen, grad roles is probably where everyone goes to straight off the bat. If you don't get a grad role, it's okay. Keep applying. But understand there's also some stuff you can do direct entry. Again, you need to start thinking, what is the alternatives that you can be doing in the meantime if what you want is not what you get, if that makes sense. Because I know some people will take a whole year out because they specifically want this engineering job, they specifically want this biomed job, they specifically want this consultancy or PR job or whatever. Still broadening your horizon of what else could you be doing in the meantime. Because let me let you understand something that I know during this exam season and stuff like that, stress, boom, it doesn't really feel that way. But when you graduate, for most of the jobs you go to, after you get that job, after you get your first job, your degree doesn't really matter. Your degree doesn't really matter. Your degree is the key that opens the door, and you need to open the door, so don't slack on your exams, but the key that opens the door. But after you get in through the first door, now what they value is your experience. And so you working a year maybe in, let's say, consultancy, may be easier for you to jump into and back into your engineering, but at least you're working within that, you're getting more experience, work experience, and understanding the broader outcome, but you're more employable because you already had a job. It's one of them ones. It's just like when you find bae, then everybody wants to find you, call you bae. It's one of them ones kind of thing. It's still the same thing. So what other stuff that you can do to broaden your horizon, as opposed to just saying, okay, I'm gonna, because some people go 2 years of just applying for this engineering thing, where in that 2 years you could have gone experience in consultancy, banking and finance, PR, music, creatives, journalism, all those different things. So don't put yourself in a box because what you want to get hasn't come to you. Because I know it's disheartening to be applying for loads of jobs, getting rejected, or not even applying because you're already discouraged by the outcome out here. It's a bit long, but you need to ask yourself what next. Because when you come out of university after the summer that everyone will give you the grace, you now want to start thinking proactively by yourself what to do next. Because you're as you go into the working world, you're going to have less time as you go on. So the next thing to now thinking about is, if you haven't got a job, again, what next in terms of what you're doing. But if you now want to use take a gap year or whatever, what are you going to do with that time? Don't just take a gap year to just take a gap year. What are you going to do with that time? Because if it's just free time and your parents are somewhat supportive and whatnot in terms of allowing you to be there and not contributing anything, then use the time wisely. Enjoy it. But not just enjoy it, make it count. Because understand, once you start working, the time you have now, you're never going to have more time than what you have now. And every year as you go on, you're going to have less time than you had before. And so even when you take a gap year, there's going to be a little bit of pressure within yourself, because it's like, unless you're traveling and doing bits, you're going to have a bit of pressure on yourself, because you now start seeing everybody moving on in life and you're going to feel like you're stagnant. My friend, calm down. This is the reason why you need to take the time to think about what you want to do within that time and then go accordingly. Now, in terms of graduating, even if you didn't get a job, or you do get a job, or you didn't get the job you want, or whatever, again, understand, breathe. You're coming to the end of university. Pat yourself on the back. It's not easy. Even if you get a third, some people, it's not even, they for different circumstances, people don't even make it out. Uni is probably one of the most stressful things you're gonna go through in life. So even getting a third, be happy you got something. You got out there. You did the thing. Shake my hand. Shake my hand. Let me tell you something. I'm telling you the truth. That once you get through the door, it's your experience that matters. And there's certain jobs that care about what you got in your degree and stuff like that. But once you get through the door, it's your experience that really matters. For those who went through apprenticeships and stuff like that, in my company, loads of people who are managers and stuff like that went through apprenticeship. They didn't even get a university degree, and they're out here big boy directors. So, as long as you compensate for wherever you may be slacking on those kind of things, you want to understand. So when you're coming out now, take a time to breathe, take a time to self-evaluate. Don't worry too much about what other people are doing, because you need to understand that your own journey is your journey. And that's the thing, it's your personal journey for you to get to wherever you're trying to get to. And so when you see people going from, they might be getting that 40, 50k salary, be okay that you got your 25, 27. You start where you start. In 2 years time, they may still be at 40, and then you might be at 45. But again, we have a problem here, because you're looking at what they're doing. Your whole life, your whole makeup is different. They may be doing engineering, you may be doing some, social work, or you may be doing PR, you may be doing consultancy, or you may be doing banking and finance, you may be doing medicine, dentistry, biocare and pharmaceuticals. You could be doing anything. You could be working at McDonald's. You can do Audi. Their manager, I thought about it. I did think about it. I even thought about it a couple of months ago. Oh my days. Have you seen that? Oh! Anyway. But, so as you're coming to the end, you're going to see people getting jobs, and you need to understand that it's cool that you haven't got a job, but you just need to find out, get feedback about, what you need to do better, but then keep it moving. Keep it moving. No time to wallow. Another thing you need to start thinking about is, and why I mentioned about student loan, is how are you going to sort out your overdraft. Now, obviously, we've done a video a couple of months ago, last year, about the best student accounts, and one of the things that I took into consideration about student accounts for me personally was the ones that had graduate accounts. Now, less and less of some banks are doing. Some banks automatically will give you a student account, some don't have student account and will start a payment plan, but most of them will give you a grace for the ones that are smart. And so the thing about it is that your overdraft, quote unquote, is 0% interest. It's free money for now, but you need to go and find out how long after graduation do you have to pay off your overdraft. So I think the max is like 2-3 years. If you're lucky, yes, about 2-3 years, depending. I believe it's off the top of my head, I want to say nationwide or NatWest. No, TSB, I think it's 3 years. And depending on your bank account, you want to find out what is there, whether your student account is going to turn into a graduate account, because for a lot of us who were good at uni, we were living in our overdraft, and so you're going to have to pay that back, especially because when your interest on your overdraft kicks in, your overdraft is going to be worse than a credit card. Yes, I said that. It's going to be worse than a credit card. So you want to be knowing, is your account going to be going into a graduate account, and how many years are they going to give you the grace of you being in a graduate account? Because you need to take that into account, because you have to understand that you're going to be, how you pay that off, you're going to be working more and spending very much less in order to save the difference to cover up the overdraft. So you want to know that. The reason why I wanted to do this video before the last student loan dropped, which actually, my apologies, life has been busy, so really my apologies, because we're here trying to help people. If you heard this, I hope it helps you, Sha. But assuming assuming you found out what graduate account you actually, what with your student account, whether it turns to a graduate account, you could have actually changed your student account between banks to get the bank with the best graduate account. You could have changed that before your last student loan dropped, but because your last student loan has dropped, I think for most of you, you may not be able to get it unless you're like in a master's level kind of thing that goes on to December or whatever. Then maybe you might be able to change it. So I don't know if you're seeing this in 2022 or whatever. Again, you can change your student account at any point in time, because I did the same thing. I went from HSBC to Santander because Santander had a better graduate account, so I changed that in preparation of me coming out, because it gave me 2 years. Even though I paid it back within a year, it gave me 2 years for me to pay that off, so it's less stress on you having to, within the first year, pay that money back, because when you start seeing the interest kick in, it's hard. So you want to think about how you're going to pay your overdraft, one, and what your student account setup is, whether that turns into a graduate account, whether that's 1 year or 2 years or 3 years, and that's 0% interest on all of it, all of the overdraft they gave you, or is it going to slowly come down? Like if they gave you £1,000 overdraft in like a year, would it go to 750 of 0%, and then 500, and the rest would be at 49%, which is the average. 45% is the average in terms of the interest they'll be charging you. So you want to think about how you're going to pay for those things. Another thing you want to think about is, how are you going to use your summer? Yeah, how are you going to use your summer? Now, this is depending on whether you've chosen to take a gap year or not, or whether you've gotten a job or not, or whether you got a grad role or not, or you got a job that's going to pay you substantial money or not. Because why I say that is that if you're going to go and work, beyond whether you have overdraft or not, you want to work, unless, and again, this also depends on whether, if you got a new job, whether they're going to give you a signing on bonus. Because coming out of uni, most people are strapped for cash coming out of uni. So this summer, yes, I know everyone's coming out of the pandemic, things are bubbling, people want to enjoy. Afro Nation, if it happens, tickets are on lock, but who knows. But you might want to look to how you're going to use this summer to you might want to use it to enjoy if you already have a job, but B, you might want to use it to secure a job, and or work. So you might need to work this summer, because you have to understand, if you don't really have a lot of money coming in, for you to start your first job, if there's no signing on bonus, you need to buy new work clothes, you need to buy you get travel cards, you need to transport, you need money for food when you're commuting, because you get hungry while commuting, depending where it is. So for that first month, it is a struggle for a lot of new graduates going into roles, because they don't have any money, and depending on your situation, whether someone's supporting you or not, you may need some P's for at least that first month. So you might need to work during the summer while you're at home and parents are supporting you, but then you might need to work that summer to get some money in your account, so that when you start your new job, you have something to get you through September, or get you through October, depending on when you start, so that you now get your salary and you can start working on that. But you might consider working for that. And so, but then you might also consider taking the enjoyment, if you already have the job and you can sustain yourself between now, or between June from till the end of September, which will probably be your first pay. Also, you might also want to think that if you haven't gotten a job yet, and you don't really have a lot of money coming in, and so you haven't got a job, you might actually want to use the summer to secure a job, just because you have to understand, a lot of people are thinking, okay, it's summer, let me go and enjoy. So a lot of people aren't even really seriously looking for jobs during the summer, because they're doing enjoyment. So you could that's the best time for you to slide into I'm just gonna slide in into the job market, for you to get a job, for you to now be able to secure that and carry it on. Because when September, October comes, that's when the competition really comes hard, and it's hard for you to get more jobs at that time. Remember, it's about building momentum and going from one place to another. Now, if you have to do Tesco's, McDonald's, Sainsbury's, all these things for the meantime, it's not bad. Even, people always downgrade these jobs. It's not bad. Do what you gotta do. So another thing now, that as you're coming to the end of uni, there's another couple of things I want you guys to be thinking about. It's now, one, whether you're going to go back to move home, or whether you're going to go and move out, coming back home. Now this obviously depends on how much money you're making. This obviously depends on whether you've got a job or not. If you've got a job outside of the area you already live, it's a no-brainer, you're going to live out. But if you have a job that's in the same city that you live, depending on it, do you want to live home or do you not want to live home? Because it's one of those ones where you now have to deep what your family dynamics are for you to actually consider going back home. Now I know I'm going to get into the money versus time thing in a sec, but when you come back home, you need to understand you left home 18, coming back at 21, 22 after a couple of years in university. And let me tell you the truth, when you come back home, you know, for some of you, your dynamics have already changed throughout uni, but then for some of you, the dynamics remain the same. So when you come back home, your mama and your papa most likely will still look at you as a kid, just a little bit less than a kid. So the dynamics may feel a bit controlling because parents are not really always the best to give out, you know, freedom or independence, at least in their own choice. You might have to take it small, but you want to think about what dynamics is going to be and what the environment is going to be of whether you really want to go back home, and if you do go back home, how long you want to stay at home, considering it may because I know some people, let's be honest, some of you man went to uni and went to a certain place in uni just to run away from home. So now you're coming back home and you need to think about it. I know you kind of pushed it to the side, but it will happen. So how do you manage those situations? How do you manage that environment and stuff like that? And, you know, what are you willing to do, you know, to stay there to make it happy? What do you need to change in the way you approach things? And how do you guys deal with conflicts now that you're coming back as a semi-adult? They're not going to look at you as a full-fledged adult. You're almost a semi-adult, especially if you haven't got a job yet and you're not contributing money. You're still kind of semi-adult. So you need to think that your parents are, you know, will always view you kind of in that kid lens until you kind of step up to the plate for them to view you something different. So be aware that might be the situation. So don't fight it too much, but don't, again, the only way you're going to be an adult is if you choose yourself to be an adult. Now, in terms of coming home, you need to understand, a lot of people talk about stay at home, you save money. Or depending on if you live far from work, you know, people will be like, money versus time to commute. Now, if you live far from work, you know, I've done both, living away from, and, you know, depending on what it is, it may be better for you. Honestly, time is something, depending on where you are and depending on what your goals are, time is sometimes more beneficial than saving the money, because time is something you won't get back, money is something you get back in time. And so with some of you, where you may be commuting to, the amount you're spending on commute, you know, you could make that more back in living closer to work, provided you know how to cook, you know how to take care of yourself, all these things. Because if you don't know how to cook, take care of yourself and all these kind of things, if you do move out, it'll be more expensive, because at home there's home cooked meals, but when you move out, you're doing takeaway. So go and learn how to cook. But, you know, money versus time. So depending on what your goals are, this comes down to whether, if you're comfortable at home, the relationship's fine, all the kind of things, then obviously stick it out, especially if you're not commuting that far, especially if it's work from home, then it's calm, stay home. And if you're happy, obviously, if you want to move on for independence sake or getting your own space, then you're looking that you want to be saving more time or get more time to yourself as opposed to saving money. So that's a decision you have to make for yourself. Sometimes it's better for you to save the money, stay at home, especially if you're trying to save for maybe a house or something like that. But sometimes it's better for you to take the leap and save the time, or gain more time for yourself, or gain more space or more independence, because some of you will not get your independence until you leave the house. That's the thing. And one of the other things I want you to think about as you're coming to the end of university is something that a lot of people don't actually think about. And it's something that once you get into it, it's hard. It's a hard thing for you to kind of do, but, you know, God's grace, we'll be trying. But obviously now you're at uni, you know, you've made a lot of friends who are probably going to be friends for life. And there's a lot of random people that, as you've seen as exam season has come right now, there's random people that you see on the road every day and you used to chat to every day in the library and stuff like that. You're not seeing them no more. And you may never see them again. But for your core friends and the people around you, you know, you're going to low-key lose the whole accessibility of, oh, I'm just going to go to his yard, which is across the road, or I'm just going to go to knock on his door, or I'm just going to go annoy her, I'm going to go see her, or we need to share this video or watching movies together. So one thing I want you to think about, because your social interaction, your social connections are very important. Something I want you to think about is, you can think about it with yourself, you can think about it with your friends, but how do you keep your friendships going? I know it's a weird question to ask, but you saw what happened when you came to uni and that sixth form. Some of you kept your sixth form friends. A lot of you, it was kind of, so it's about how do you keep your friendships going, because you have to understand when you come out to the working world, you have to be a bit more intentional about how you guys are going to move, in terms of you guys may live in different places, and it's just the effort of leaving your house and stuff like that. So how are you guys going to, or how are you going to stay in contact with your friends that you are used to seeing every day as opposed to calling every day? It's a completely different thing. If you're not used to calling someone every day, even though you saw them every day, when you leave their presence, it doesn't really feel the same to call them every day. So how are you your friends going to do to stay in contact and actually stay intentional in each other's lives, because this is going to be the test of you guys' friendships beyond the tests that you've already had in freshers, blah blah blah. So coming to the end of uni, you want to think about a couple of these things, and in terms of the finances, all those things, how you're going to take care of yourself when you're at home, mental well-being. Some of you were dreading going back for home. If you're dreading, then think about how long you're going to firm it before you need to, because you need money to be able to say, I'm going to leave the house. So you need to think about that. But then you want to think about how do you keep your social connections, your friendships up? How do you sort out with your overdraft? And then what next? What are you trying to do next? And how does that go? If your student loan covers your overdraft now, but you're not eating back into it, try and see how diligent you can be. You have a bit more free time now once exams are done. Try to save some money or work for some money to kind of pay that off, and have a little bit of money in your account for you to start working. And even if you have supportive parents and people who can give you money, still you want to start working to kind of gain some form of independence, because independence and responsibility and accountability, all three things that you need to come to become a full-fledged adult, and finances is one of the big ways for you to start getting that back for yourself, as well as gaining more control within your life. Because as you grow up to be an adult and you grow up to come back into this world, which is long and it's scary, these are things you need to do for yourself. And the last thing I want to say to you, man, is I was in a video the other day, and I said in the video, and I don't know when it's going to come out, because my friend, I'm busy. This one's a one take. I'm busy. It will come out when it comes out. But I was just saying, don't use school as an excuse. Now, for some of you, now I know you come out into the working world, you're a bit scared, which is okay. You're not sure what you want to do, and you now jump into a master's, or you now jump into a second degree or a third degree, and you're moving like Van Wilder. I don't know if you remember that movie Van Wilder, as a series of movies of a man who wasn't even trying to graduate from uni because he was not trying to be in these streets. But you have to understand, look, at some point life's going to catch up with you, and you can't keep running away from life because you're scared of it, or facing the music because you feel like this degree will make your life easier. Nah, it's really experience that gets you. Like I said to you in the beginning, your degree is a key that opens a door, and once you open the door, you need to navigate yourself. And then once you get to the first floor, people will be like, "Rah, you made it to the first floor." They don't care about what key you used to open the door. "Rah, you made it to the first floor." So for some of you, yes, getting a master's may be beneficial depending on what you're doing, but for some of you, deep down, going into a master's is actually just a waste of your time, and you're just doing it. You can finesse yourself and make excuses. "On my days is good because blah blah blah," but don't just jump into a master's because you don't know what you want to do with your life. Take the actual time and now think, is this worth your time? Now, for some of you, that making that jump may be actually the best decision. So none of this advice is strictly for everybody. It's like, for some of you, jumping in there may be where you discover what you need to do. But don't just jump into it just because to have something to fill the time. There's loads of different things you can do. You obviously can get a grad role, and it might not be the role that you want, but remember, the last thing I'll leave you with, because I'm gonna try and keep this video under half an hour, basically, is you may have to do a job before you get a career. So listen, you're coming to the end of university, everyone's telling you do what you love. Let's get this straight. You don't necessarily have to do what you love. If you can do what you love, great. If you can do what you don't love, and then maybe you don't even need to grow to love it, you just need to tolerate it, you might have to do that. And then you need to sometimes have to understand, how can you do what you don't love to create a foundation or allow you to do what you do love. Like, you might have side passions or side projects, but you don't forget that those are things, your main job that you don't love may be helping you do and fun, because you still need to live a life. There's a reason why people do charitable things and they drop out, because there's no money from being for free or those kind of things. So I understand that doing what you love, it might not necessarily be the smartest or the correct thing or the wisest thing for you to do. You might have to do what is best for yourself, or what you have the best skills for, or what can help you build a foundation or give you enough experience to say, okay, I've done 2 years in this engineering field that maybe not be the one I want, but I really love this aspect of engineering. You got a bit of experience, it's easier to slide in. Ooh, ooh. But yeah, don't just be jumping into master's degrees or PhDs just because deep down you're afraid of leaving school. Deep down you don't know what you want to do with your life. Deep down you're kind of just scared of this adulting. Deep down you kind of just want to live a kind of easy life because you kind of enjoyed uni and stuff like that. It's okay. Nobody out here know what they're doing. They're figuring it out in these streets every day as you go along, and it's along your journey that you understand your purpose and what you want to do in your life. So stop running, enjoy the moment, breathe. Life is what it is. It's a little bit stressful, and then learn how you're going to deal with the stress of life, and make sure you incorporate, you know, breaks and all that kind of stuff into your life, because the amount of stress is about to come your way. I don't envy you, Sha. It's the rite of passage. Chop knuckle, shake my hand. My name has been Ugo, your name has been blessed. Like, subscribe, comment. I hope this has helped you out. It's a bit long, but you know them ones. Sha, my strength is to talk, so I go be talking. Have a blessed day, guys.